IndyCar Series on IndyCar Radio.
And history is matched as the twin checkered flags come out for our second four-time winner of the Indianapolis 500, Al Unser. Roberto Guerrero comes across the line, finishing 4.4 seconds back. The Penske team scores another victory. Al Unser has won the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
A.J. Foyt now coming down to the white line. In turn number 2, he looks kind of happy as he goes through 2 onto the backstretch, and in just a second he'll be up to Chuck Marlowe on his final lap. Right.
From Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, this is the Verizon IndyCar Series on the Advance Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network.
Good morning, race fans. Live from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It is Racing Sunday here at Road America. My name's Nick Yeoman. Thanks for joining us on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network as we've got the final 30-minute warm-up session for the Verizon IndyCar Series as we get set for the Kohler Grand Prix later this afternoon. Beautiful morning here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin as all 21 drivers heading out of the racetrack for this again, final 30-minute warm-up session. Good opportunity for these drivers to make sure these race cars are buttoned up, no leaks, ready to go racing later this afternoon. Happy to be joined by two gentlemen here in the Firestone Racing booth. The first has become a veteran broadcaster on this network. You hear him on pit lane for the Indy Lights presented by Cooper Tires, as well as the Verizon IndyCar Series. Rob Howden, good morning to you. Yesterday in qualifying, boy, Team Penske, what a show they put on, as they're going to be tough to beat today here at Road America.
They just kind of worked their way through the Fast 12, the Fast 6, and it ended up becoming really just an inter-squad battle at the end. And I think one of the most telling moves was the call made by Graham Rahal's team when they actually elected to skip going to sticker reds for the Fast 6 run. Instead, just jumped onto those blacks again. We're wanting to save those reds for today. I think that was a telling tale because he said straight in his interview that he knew that they were in a different league today.
Graham Rahal will start in the 6th position today. Scott Dixon to his inside row number 3, and then you've got those 4 Team Penske teammates up front, led to the green by Helio Castroneves. Third member of our booth is no stranger to the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network as well. Become a good friend of all of us over the years. NBC Sports Network's Tony DeZino joins us. Tony, welcome to Road America. Happy birthday. And I know this is a home race, a home weekend for you this weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. It's a little bit of everything this weekend, right? Birthday was on Friday, and I'm at my happy place. I'm at Road America. We're back for a second year here after a really good debut here last year, return after about a 10-year hiatus. There's just so much excitement when you walk the grounds. The fans are everywhere. I mean, it's an 8 a.m. warm-up session, and there's already a line of traffic to get in, I just saw. So we're so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to be in the booth with you guys. It's always a treat.
Tony, how about pole sitter Helio Castroneves, the 42-year-old Brazilian? Listen, still looking for a first win here in the last 3 or 4 years, but there is no doubt in qualifying he can still get it done, recording that 50th career pole yesterday.
You know, it's been funny this year, Nick, because we've had Helio and Will having this kind of inter-team battle where it's like, you know, I got one, you get the next one, and I'm pretty much going from there. He's proving still, even at his age in his 20th season, without as much fanfare as Tony Kanaan, who actually said, I'm branding myself as TK20. It's interesting stuff, but Helio still got it. He's pushing really hard, and he's still one of the best guys out there. I don't know why people would want to write him out because he's still solid.
Looks like the majority of field went out for an installation lap and then came back down to pit lane, and it looks like one car has either stalled or had issues. That's the 20 of Spencer Piggott, who has stalled on pit lane. The ECR guys in those jackets are running out to retrieve that car to pull him back to pit lane and get the starter engaged to get Spencer Piggott back out of the racetrack. We do have a man reporting down on pit lane, and as I mentioned, a lot of guys down there on pit lane. Ryan Marine with jackets on, as it's a little cool this morning here at Elkhart Lake.
Yeah, I'm not one of them, and that was a mistake. It is absolutely a brisk day here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. 58-degree ambient temperature right now. Track temperature in the 68, 69-degree range, depending on where you're we're looking at around the racetrack, and actually the section after the kink headed into Canada Corner that is so covered with foliage, just 62-degree track temperature there. So treacherous conditions from that standpoint for these competitors. You can see them sliding around on the video screens if you're watching online, and you kind of wonder how much you can learn in a session like this, considering the conditions will be somewhat warmer. By no means will it be hot this afternoon, but it won't be like this by the time we get to the start of the race afternoon today.
Rob Howden, you've been watching the USF 2000, Pro Mazda, Indy Lights, IndyCar all weekend. It seems like any driver you talk to, they love this 4-mile, 14-turn road course.
There's just something about Road America that these drivers absolutely love. The long straightaways, I'll get those cars, those Mazda edges, to kind of stretch their legs out a little bit. They get that good run down into turn number 1. Most drivers will tell you how much they love rolling through the carousel, trying to go flat through that corner. It's just a challenging racetrack, and I think because it has so many opportunities to pass, it's not a processional race, and that's one of the things these young kids like. They like to have the opportunity to pass, the opportunity to move forward, even if they've had a bad qualifying run, and that's played to us. We've had some amazing races. We've already had 5 Mazda Road to Indy events here this weekend, one more, of course, this morning with Indy Lights, but they really have been essentially the best races we've had all year, and that plays to the course.
Just got an interesting shot there on pit lane of the NTT Data Honda of Scott Dixon being pushed, it looked like, to the exit of pit lane and behind the wall. Scott was on the pit box. Does not look like he will be participating in this warm-up session. Tony DeZino from the NBC Sports Network joins us here in the Firestone Racing booth. Dixon's still looking for that first win of 2017. For a guy like Scott to go this long without a win, oftentimes you'd say, boy, that's probably been a disappointing season, but he's right in line, Tony, for another championship.
It's funny, Nick, because Scott's notorious as a slow starter. It's the only real major, knock on him, and it's hard to say that because he's one of the greatest drivers of this generation, to say the least. But he's been on a roll. I mean, he's finished between 2nd and 6th most races. The only 2 times he hasn't. It's funny. He had one of the world's craziest stretches in May with what happened to him after qualifying, and then the accident in the race on Sunday. But he's more frustrated after Texas, when he didn't even want to talk after Takuma Sato, goes deep in the grass and takes him out. So this is a scary proposition for the rest of the field, because we're at the halfway point of the season. Dixon hasn't won. He's still leading the points. They've just changed over from Chevrolet to Honda. The team's nailed that setup change, which is, it's been an incredible start for him this far.
Just saw an onboard shot from Alexander Rossi as they were also about to go 2 or 3 wide there. Rob Howden on pit lane. It's wide. I don't know if it's that wide here at Road America.
Yeah, I think that was Graham Rahal, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and I believe Joseph Newgarden kind of rolled out there as well. And Hunter-Reay jumps on the throttle, the car got a little sideways, and yeah, it was a bit of traffic, a little bit of a traffic jam on pit lane. I think a little more exciting than they wanted to be here at 8:06 in the morning.
There's the defending series champion, Simon Pagenaud, with the Menards livery this weekend here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Connor Daly out there turning some laps as well. Been a frustrating year so far for Connor Daly. For Simon Pagenaud, though, Rob Howden, I mean, he's picked up right where he's left off. He's in contention for a championship as well.
And we can't be surprised. Obviously, out of the start of the year, coming to St. Petersburg, didn't have the pace there, but they've been able to get back to where they want to be. He and Ben Brentzman working together again, as they did last year, to win that championship. You watch those guys after every session. They have just such a quiet and calm demeanor together. They're able to communicate so well. And Team Penske's been good, as we know. The Chevy Bowtie crew obviously very strong. And I see Simon settling himself into another run for this championship. And as we get into the second half of the season, this inter-team battle, I think, is really kind of motivating everybody at Team Penske.
Nearing 8 minutes into this 30-minute warm-up session for the Verizon IndyCar Series, as we're set to go racing a little bit later this afternoon for the Kohler Grand Prix. Up first, it is Indy Lights race number 2, as we'll have a full cast of characters all over the racetrack. That race is actually coming up right after this warm-up session at 9:45 Eastern, 8:45 Central. And then later today, the main event of the weekend, the Kohler Grand Prix, 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central Time. Mark Janes and Davey Hamilton will be in the booth. I'll join Jake Query and Michael Young out on the course. Dave First, Rob Howden, Brian Marine down on pit lane for the main event here at Elkhart Lake. As I mentioned, about 8.5 minutes into this session, a couple Ganassi drivers, Tony, have charged to the top of the timing and scoring list. Obviously, these times don't mean everything, but Max Chilton, how impressed have you been with the maturation now in year 2 of him really starting to string together some solid results?
This has been a good start to Max's second season. Johnson in this series. I think he's a lot more comfortable. He had a strategist change at the start of the year. Julian Robertson's now on the box for him. I think that's helped him a little bit. They've worked together. He's continued to gel with his engineer, and he's really starting to impress with his racecraft a little bit. At the Indy 500, I didn't expect him to be as defensive and being able to hold on to the lead as much as he was, but he did for the majority of it. In a track like here, he's probably disappointed he missed the Fast 6, but what he's doing this weekend's impressive. He lost almost all of the third practice owing to a brake change. I think they only got out within the last 5-10 minutes, so he's already playing catch-up. This is an important session for him, but he loves these natural terrain road courses. And Rob, you see guys that come over. He was an Indy Lights graduate. He had the year here. You see how much better he is this second year.
And this was that one track last year where I think once he got here, he said, man, I can kind of let my legs stretch. I can be comfortable here. It's a track like Spa, one that he knew. And I think when he came in here, this was that race. And, hey, you know what? I can make it happen. And he had a great run until they had the fuel issue. Ran him out of fuel. It looks like we do have a driver off over here, Nick.
Yeah, it's Michaela Lotion has run wide through the grass.
Turn 5?
Yeah, I believe that is right in turn 5. Ryan Hunter-Ray makes an evasive mover to the outside. That's where I'm going to be down for the IndyCar race, and that's not a surprise to see. A lot of drivers love to dive in deep. That's a downhill portion of the racetrack, hard left-hander, and it is very easy to overshoot that corner. So for Michaela Lotion, looked like just got off into the grass. This might actually be a replay. Yeah, locks him up and just overshoots the corner. And again, Rob, we're going to see that all day long here in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Indy Lights race a little bit later today. Very easy to do. The good news here at Road America is there is oftentimes plenty of grass, plenty of runoff area for these drivers to catch on those mistakes.
Yeah, Michaela Lotion used all of it as well. We saw it yesterday in the Pro Mazda category when Anthony Martin and Victor Franzoni were battling it out. They both went deep into the braking zone and went off there. Both drivers able to continue, and then, of course, the run up the hill to turn number 6. But again, that's the great thing about this racetrack. So much runoff that if you do make a mistake, there is room to go.
Let's get an update on the situation involving Scott Dixon. Has not turned a lap in this warm-up session. Ryan Marine, you're down on pit lane.
Actually, I'm back in the paddock area taking a look at Scott Dixon's number 9 NTT data car. There's 7 Chip Ganassi Racing crew members pouring over that race car. They've got the laptop plugged in, trying to get the data off of the race car, and then a lot of wrenches out as well. So hard at work working on that number 9 machine. Scott sitting atop the pit box just watching the warm-up session at this point. Guys, it looks like he's going to be relegated to a spectator, just like we are here for the final warm-up before the race. Hopefully they can get everything buttoned up before the race actually gets started.
Yeah, I appreciate that update, Ryan. And Tony, boy, for Scott Dixon, it's good, I guess, to catch it here in the morning, but he's got to be thinking, what's up with me in Road America? Because last year, 4 or 5 laps into the race? 5 or 6 laps
into it, yeah.
Yeah, he's running in the top 3 or 4, and all of a sudden he pulls off into turn 5 with mechanical issues. That's not the way you want to start today.
No, just like we were saying earlier, it's been things outside of his control that have kind of stopped him this year. And this is, again, it's a critical session, not so much from a lap time standpoint, from making sure you've got all your ducks in a row and geese in a herd before you're getting ready for the race. This is pit stop practice, pit entries. It's very tight windows here, so it's the things beyond just the on-track session that you're losing at this point. We should note, Nick, he's not the only driver that hasn't turned a lap this session. Takuma Sato also has not been out. They had a weird qualifying yesterday where he was only 20th, and we're wondering if there's an issue there as well as to why he's not been out this morning either.
And Rob, for Takuma Sato, after winning the Indianapolis 500, he's been stringing together some good results. He's in the midst of a championship battle as well. So starting from, as Tony mentioned, the rear of the field in the 20th position, his work certainly cut out for him here at Road America.
And I think Takuma really could have used this full session as well. When I talked to him after qualifying yesterday, they were essentially at a loss for words. They weren't sure what was wrong with the car. We had saw what they did in qualifying. They were just trying to get into the Fast 12. They ran 2 sets of sticker red tires in that opening session just to try to get into the Fast 12. They were only able to go about 0.3 of a second quicker than he did in practice 3. So right now, I think Sato and the crew are a little bit lost and not able to have this session. What a major impact it'll be for him.
Rob, there's a shot of our defending Indy Lights champion, Ed Jones, 5th fastest in this warm-up session. He obviously earned the scholarship a year ago by winning the championship. Another Indy Lights race coming up at 8:45 this morning. Pretty competitive race yesterday. Maybe not up front in P1 as Matthias Lace flat out left the field, but further back in the field we saw some incredible action.
There was racing all the way through, in the battle at the end ended up being Santa Urrutia going at it with Kaiser. Urrutia, the emotion's starting to come right now because he has not got that race win yet. Remember, he battled Ed Jones for the championship last year, had race wins with Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports. just hasn't been able to put it together yet here in Indy Lights. Starting to get frustrated, but still a solid second place finish for him. Kaiser third to extend his point lead, but you're right, Matheus Leist, the young Brazilian driver, kind of following in the footsteps of Ed Jones as he's with Carlin Racing, has now won 2 races in a row. And really, we talked to Colin Hale yesterday. Everything kind of started to change at the Indy Grand Prix. He turned the fastest lap of the race in the opening run of the doubleheader, then got his first podium in race number 2, and then he goes on to win the Freedom and now wins here at Road America. There's a guy with some momentum right now, and I think if you're in the paddock for Indy Lights, you got to be a little worried about what's going on right now. If Matheus Leist can win again today and then look forward to Iowa, man, he could go on a run.
All right, a developing situation involving Scott Dixon. Ryan Marine doing a great job tracking it down. Ryan, what's the latest on Dixon?
Yeah, caught up with Dan Layden from Honda and HPD here on pit lane and asked him if he knew what was going on. He said, with kind of a frown on his face, fuel pump at this point. So that's what they're working on getting rectified back in the paddock area. Plenty of time to get it set, but certainly a little bit of a setback missing out here on morning warm-up.
The good news, thank you, Ryan, for Scott Dixon is his teammate Max Chilton continues to pick him up and lay him down. Chilton just improved his fast time as we've reached the midway point of this 30-minute warm-up session. Chilton's fast lap at 1:44.034. Simon Pagenaud in that Menards Team Penske Chevrolet, second quick. Carlos Munoz is third. James Hinchcliffe is fourth. Alexander Rossi is fifth. And Tony DeZino from the NBC Sports Network joins us. For Rossi, he was really quick in practice 1 at the top of the charts. Practice 2, he ended up in the tire barriers, driving through the grass. And then in qualifying yesterday, seemed pretty disappointed the fact that he's going to start in row 8.
Rossi and the rest of the Andretti Autosport team were mystified at where their qualifying speed went in. And you look at where they're starting, he's only 15th. Marco Andretti's 8th, which is better probably than what he's anticipated. He's ahead. He's actually top of all 4 of them. We mentioned Sato struggles earlier, and Ryan Hunter-Reay, who also went off in turn 14, which has been Calamity Corner this weekend. He's rolling off from 12th. Rossi, this is a place you expect him to do well here. This is one of the tracks where he has past experience that he had prior to last year. It's funny, there's a number of guys between him, Gutierrez, Robert Wickens, who was in a car on Friday, who've all raced here like 10, 12 years ago in like Formula BMW and Atlantics and other junior series. I know Rob's familiar with that, and now to see them all here in IndyCar, it's cool. But for Rossi from 15th, that's going to be a tough spot to go down. And as Ryan knows, we can see what happens with one of his teammates, which he's got nipped on Sato.
Yeah, Ryan, Takuma Sato, another one of those drivers, has not turned a lap in this practice session, and certainly, as we talked about, he's got his work cut out for him starting from the 20th position. What's the issue with the Indy 500 winning team?
He's going to have a longer day ahead of him than I think he would like. Apparently not feeling all that well, a little bit under the weather, so the team elected to give him this morning warm-up off. He should be good to go for the race, according to the team, so that's the good news, but Takuma Sato just not quite feeling up to snuff, so a little bit of rest here this morning ahead of the race this afternoon.
Rob, is that a good call? I mean, for these drivers, this is a physically demanding racetrack, all the G-loads that you experience. If you got a driver under the weather, sit out this warm-up session?
I think it's probably a decent call. And they added some laps to the race as well this year, so it's an even longer race. And if you recall 2016, it was Ryan Hunter-Reay who was battling a fever on Saturday evening, had to sweat it out and then battle it out throughout the event. So that's going to be tough for Takuma Sato, and especially when you don't have a great race car as well. He's got a car he's going to start, I believe, in the 20th position. That's going to be tough for him. Not feeling well, starting at the back. It's going to be a long day for Takuma.
And Tony, for Takuma, who, like we said, is right there in the midst of the championship battle, third in points entering this weekend. This may be one of those days where if Sato has championship aspirations, and he certainly should, as the Indy 500 champ and in the top 5 in points, this kind of seems like it may be one of those days where he's got to take a bad day and just make it mediocre.
Right. It's typical of Sato's career, right, where he's got a really good stretch of things and then something outside his control or a mistake or something that he can't even keep up with, takes him out of it. I mean, how he rallied at Detroit, I thought was one of the most impressive things, because, yeah, you've got the whole week of media. You've flown all over the place. He finished 8th and 4th. He got the pole for race 2. This race, though, he's coming into after he was in Japan. He was home on a media tour there to celebrate with Honda, with his fans, with his family, and with a bunch of others. But it's been interesting that he's struggled this weekend, because this is a place you'd expect him to do well.
Boy, Rob, we just about saw a mess exiting pit lane as we had about 3 cars exiting pit lane, 3 barreling down the front stretch, and James Hinchcliffe about had to take the wide way around turn 1.
Yeah, there's some extra pavement on the outside of turn number 1, and I think James Hinchcliffe very happy that it's there, because he had to go all the way around on the outside. I think it was Gutierrez potentially around the outside, and he'll work his way now back around track. But that was an exciting start here. Here's a replay of it. And again, right behind Gutierrez. Almost makes contact way around the gator strips. And that's a rough ride. Those gator strips are rough here at Road America, but not the kind of close call James was looking for here in morning warm-up.
And Rob, we expect more of that today. This, such a large course. We usually don't get a lot of full course cautions, so we're going to see a lot of green flag pit stops with guys ducking in and out of pit lane, and that's ultimately where this race could be won and lost.
Yeah, turn 1's tough when they come out there as well, because you're rolling so much corner speed in there, trying to get in there and get out of turn number 1 cleanly. And when you've got guys coming in and trying to dive into that apex, it just totally changes the line of the course. So, and you're right, we will see a lot of green flag pit stops. We're going to see 3 of them at least here for most teams, and I expect that you're right, that we're going to see a lot of movement in pit lane. I don't think we really talk that much about the fact that when you're looking at a 6.5 second stop and maybe an 8.5 or a 9.5 second stop, that means so much on the racetrack as well. The teams that get out of the pit lane in those sub 7 second pit stops are the guys that are going to be able to work their way forward.
10 minutes to go in this final 30-minute warm-up session for the Verizon IndyCar Series. My name's Nick Yeoman. Thanks for joining us here on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. Happy to be joined by Rob Howden and Ryan Marine on pit lane, as well as NBC Sports Network's Tony DiZino, as we're getting set to go racing for the Kohler Grand Prix coming up later today at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. Max Chilton still the fastest of the 21 drivers. Simon Pagenaud's second quick. Carlos Munoz is third. James Hinchcliffe is fourth. Alexander Rossi is fifth fastest. The rest of the top 10 is Will Power, J.R. Hildebrand, Ed Jones, Spencer Pigot, and the pole sitter Elio Castro-Neves. Michaela Lotion is 11th fastest. Joseph Newgarden is 12th. Tony Kanaan 13th. Ryan Hunter-Reay is 14th fastest, and Graham Rahal rounds out the top 15. Connor Daly is 16th fastest. 17th is Charlie Kimball. 18th is the rookie Esteban Gutierrez. 19th is Marco Andretti. And 20th is Scott Dixon. Has not turned a lap. Ryan Marine reports that they're having fuel pump issues, and also not turning a lap in this session is Takuma Sato, who we have learned is a little under the weather this weekend, trying to conserve that energy. I'm sure pumping those fluids through him, getting him ready to go racing as he is in the midst of a championship battle. As I mentioned, Tony DiZino, 11th quick is Michaela Lotion. That 7 car for Schmidt-Peterson has been an interesting weekend, to say the least, for that team.
Yeah, it's I go back to Long Beach a couple years ago when there was a situation at Dale Coyne Racing where a driver got drafted in on Friday, then he got hurt, and then Connor Daly got brought up on Saturday morning. It was his first road and street course race, and we were almost facing a sort of similar but reverse situation here where Mikhail was coming back from, he was at the 24 Hours of Le Mans last week. He was trying to get back in the U.S. from France. Unfortunately, delayed a little bit with some immigration issues, and that gave Robert Wickens the opportunity to be in the car. He hasn't been here in 10 years, and so it's like, welcome back, your first day in an IndyCar is a practice session. He only got the call on like 2 o'clock on Thursday. He was at the track. He was in Chicago at like 10 o'clock on Thursday night, here Friday morning, and he didn't know if he was going to run the rest of the weekend, so it's an odd situation, but he was very diplomatic about it. It's like, look, I'm here to gather data, make sure Mikhail is the best possible car. Mikhail's, I think he did a decent job here last year. I don't remember exactly where he finished. It might have been 6th or 7th, but it's good to see him back, because you don't want to see guys taken out again for things that they can't control. So that said, it's been an interesting time playing catch-up, because when you're down 2 sessions, you don't have that same amount of data that everyone else has. You got to hope that what your teammates been able to do has brought you to that level.
And Rob Howden, you've known Wickens for quite a long time. As Tony talked about, said all the right things and admitted, man, DTM is where I want to be. He's got a really good situation, but at the same time, he's got his eye. He'd love to make an IndyCar start very soon.
Well, I think any of these young drivers that come up the ranks, especially a young Canadian driver looking at the IndyCar Series, that's where you wanted to be, where you're a young go-kart racer. When he looked at it, that's what I want to do. And, of course, he went into the Atlantic Championship as well and had success there. The logical step out of Atlantic would have been into the IndyCar program. And although you can't feel bad for Robbie Wickens, the guy's got a great DTM gig, and he and I talked about that. He said, that's where I am. I'm a DTM driver. I love it. If the opportunity were to arise for me to run a couple of other races, he would definitely jump at it as long as there were no conflicts. But right now he is a DTM driver, and just said to me yesterday, yesterday that it was just a really cool experience to be able to get out here and really push that car hard through the full day of practice on Friday.
You know, Rob, one thing that is interesting, though, is there's no conflicts the rest of the year on road and street course weekends between the DTM schedule, and Schmidt has run a third car before, so if we can put a little birdie in there, I say get Robbie a proper full weekend out of it. That'd be nice to see.
I love that idea, and I know that's what we did talk a little bit about that as well. We're looking as well at the Indianapolis 500. Maybe there's a chance for a one-off for Robbie there as well, but, you know, bottom line is he came in, did the job. He brought the car home in one piece, put a bunch of laps down, gathered a lot of data, really did exactly what they asked him to do.
6 minutes to go in this warm-up session. We've got a new P1 as Ryan Hunter-Ray has taken his DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport to the top of the charts. Tony DeZino, it's been a frustrating, very un-Ryan Hunter-Ray-like season. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that can't find anything but bad luck. It has been a miserable season.
I think everything but the cartoon anvil has hit Ryan Hunter-Ray so far this year. I mean, St. Pete, he was probably unlucky to miss a podium. Long Beach, he was in podium, possibly win contention before engine mechanical issues there. DNF'd at Phoenix, had another issue at Indy as well, another engine failure there when he was in contention for a win there. I think he's outside the top 10 in points, and you're wondering how is a guy of his talent and ability level, he's one of only a handful of guys in the series who have both a 500 and a championship win, but he hasn't won since Pocono in 2015, and it's not for a lack of talent. It's not like he forgot how to drive. So I don't think there'd be very frustrated people if he was finally able to break his duck. He was able to test here a couple weeks ago. There were a number of Indy Lights guys that tested as well. He shared a car with Dalton Kellett, and that was a good test for them, so they felt confident coming into this weekend, which again makes their lack of speed in qualifying all the more frustrating.
His teammate Rob Howden, Marco Andretti, with a good qualifying run yesterday. As that entire Andretti Autosport organization, outside of course the great month of May with Fernando Alonso being so impressive and Takuma Sato ultimately taking the win, that entire organization just really seems like they need a shot in the arm.
I agree. You know, we talked to Ryan Hunter-Ray after his qualifying run trying to get into the Fast Six. He went on to the Reds and said just didn't understand what the car was even doing. It totally caught him off guard. He was actually at a loss for words when I was trying to set up for the interview yesterday on pit lane. He just had no idea what happened. They put the Reds on and the car just handled. It was just pushing everywhere, plowing through the corners. He was absolutely blown away. And when you're having issues like that and you're not quite sure what's happening with the car, it's hard to make a move. It's hard to decide what step you want to take to improve the car. And you're right. We've seen them be really good at the start of some weekends, but once the track rubbers up a little bit, they've been struggling again. We saw Alexander Rossi top the charts at one point earlier in the weekend. Struggles, of course, here as we work our way through to the rest of the weekend. Again, like we said, Marco with a pretty good qualifying effort for him into the top 10, but I know that Ryan Hunter-Ray was absolutely beside himself not able to get into the Fast 12.
Well, Rob, we're going to let you kick out a little early here. You got to get to pit lane to cover the Indy Lights series. Looking forward to that race. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be a great one. I know these drivers are ready to go. Fans are going to be here. The place is going to be packed. They're going to get a really good look at the future stars of the Verizon IndyCar series.
That, of course, is coming up at 8:45 Central Time, 9:45 Eastern. So, again, as soon as this warm-up session ends, the IndyCar machines will be towed off of pit lane. Out will come the 14 drivers in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires as they complete their double-header weekend here at Road America. Ryan Hunter-Ray is the fastest so far in this 30-minute warm-up session. Max Chilton is second. Alexander Rossi has found some speed as he's moved into third. Simon Pagenaud is fourth. Carlos Munoz is fifth. Tony DeZino from the NBC Sports Network joins us here in the Firestone Racing booth. As we talked about, you're from Wisconsin. This place is home for you. And I'll tell you what, this is my second trip up here. I heard everyone talk about for years, man, you'll never believe how unbelievable and cool Road America is. And I'm like, well, let me experience it firsthand. And then, boy, I've been blown away. This place lives up to the hype. And already I've seen race fans and the campers up on the hills ready to go racing here this weekend.
There's so much to do here. I mean, it's just, they joke it's a nature preservatory or a national park with a racetrack thrown into it. And there's so many different places to watch. There's so many good food options around the track. I mean, you don't think of track food as being the best option. Here, though, it's like, it's a question of how many double brats can you down. They added a frisbee golf course this year, a disc golf, something like that. But more than that, it's just, I think that the camping experience here, there's so much to do to make a proper weekend out of it. And you look at the amount of on-track action that we've had. I mean, we mentioned the 5 Monster Road Indy races already, all the IndyCar stuff. There's some sports cars here this weekend as well. It's just, it's packed, and you're never going to be able to take take it all in, which makes every time you come back, okay, I'm going to go this spot that I haven't been to, or that spot. I mean, I've been coming here 10, 11 years, and it gets better every time.
Let's talk about some of those vantage points. As you said, you've been coming here since you were a kid. Favorite vantage point, is there one? I mean, there are multiple great ones around this course.
I like your viewing spot, turn 5.
Yeah.
Because there's turn 5 has the combination of, you can see down one of the fastest parts of the track. I don't know if that's Mikhail going off again.
I think it is.
That's a replay.
And I think it's down in turn 5. Yeah.
He's making it a fun session for himself. See turn 5. You talk about it, and there it is. But you can see 2 or 3 wide action going in there. Guys usually run off. You're also close enough to where you can walk up the hill into pit in at that point. You can see on the backside of the track turns 13 and 14. Turn 12, Canada Corner is another good spot. I really haven't spent a ton of time at turn 1, which seems hard to believe, but you're so far off from the track. That's the thing. It's a 4-mile track. We don't have tracks longer than, I think, 2.6 or 2.7 outside of this. So there's so much more here that you can't even begin to take it all in.
Investing in a golf cart or
that is a wise investment.
That's a must, right?
That's a wise investment. Or you rack up a lot of steps on the Fitbit.
I was going to say, if the track food here, it's delicious. Maybe not the most healthy for you, but you're going to get in your steps with all the walking you can do around here at beautiful Road America. Just saw the replay of Mikhail Aloshin. As Tony talked about, that's the second time that he has now missed turn 5. So that's a tricky part of the racetrack. Downhill, hard on the brakes, trying to get that car not only slowed down, but turned to the left in one of the best passing points here at Road America. Just 30 seconds left to go in this warm-up session. Ryan Hunter-Reay is the fastest. Max Chilton is second. Alexander Rossi is third. Simon Pagenaud fourth. Carlos Munoz is fifth. We'll end the session with this question, Tony. Team Penske, 1 through 4. You're willing to go out on a limb and say anyone other than a Team Penske Chevrolet picks up a win today?
See, the funny thing was, I thought Rossi had a good chance going into the weekend, but from 15th, that's going to be a really hard task to ask. The question is, which within the Team Penske empire? See, and I think you and I have talked about this before. It feels like Will Power's due to go on one of those midsummer runs. It's just like, where he's feeling it. I mean, he was so high on life after that Texas win, and we saw what we did here last year. He dominated this race, so he's got that to defend. He's got a 2 in a row. He's starting to move up in the championship. I'd be surprised if it's someone other than, say, even the number 12 car in victory lane later today.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Appreciate you joining us. He's going to sit in the booth with us for the Indy Lights race as well. That's coming up at 8:45 Central Time, 9:45 Eastern. And then, of course, the main event later today, the Kohler Grand Prix on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central Time. Great job by Ryan Marine chasing a couple storylines down there on pit lane. And my big thanks to Tony and Rob Howden for sitting in the booth as well. Stay tuned. About 15 minutes from now, Indy Lights coverage here from Road America. This is the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network.
This is IndyCar Radio on the IMS Radio Network.
White flag is in the hands of Paul Williams. He's waiting to see Alexander Rossi come out of turn number 4. Tom Hansing is in the stand with him, and there he goes. And Danny, he may be out of fuel. Penke very slow in turn 1. He is indeed. It doesn't sound like he's underpowered. Left side wheels below the white line. Now with the short 2, now in turn 2. He may be done.
That car rolls through turn number 2, and it is underpowered. He is backing down big time. Here comes Carlos Munoz and Joseph Newgarden. They're running second and third. Jake Query Rossi's still the leader, but he's back the pace down. Alexander Rossi.
Check. You got me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello. Hello.
Alexander Rossi in the turn number 4.
Well, let them know when they do that. So
Alexander
prepared.
Rossi for the final time. Exits turn number 4. Here he comes for James. He may have to coast it across the finish line. Alexander Rossi almost rolling to a dead stop. Twin checkers are out, and the rookie will win the 100 Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Stay tuned for more on IndyCar Radio. IMS Radio Network.
The white flag is waved. 1 to go. The board Jacques Villeneuve. He's on his final lap, Jerry.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Did it hang together for another couple of miles? Oh, this is going to be a great finish for Jacques Villeneuve into the number 2 turn.
And Villeneuve smoothly through 2, well off the wall, keeping a fine line down the back straightaway. Larry Henry. Jacques Villeneuve bringing it down the back straightaway. No traffic in front of him. Cleanly down to the white line. The crowd on their feet cheering Jacques Villeneuve. One more turn to go.
Jacques Villeneuve's crew, they won the pit stop competition, but this is even better. Through 4 smoothly. Jacques Villeneuve heads to the checkered flag, and here's Bob Jenkins.
The checkered flag is waving, and Jacques Villeneuve wins the 1995 Indianapolis 500.
Stay tuned for more on IndyCar Radio. IndyCar Radio on the IMS Radio Network.
It will be, Jake Query, one of the most popular wins that we have seen in many years here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Tony Kanaan is going to win the 500-mile race.
Dario Franchitti has gotten out of his car. Dario Franchitti, if you were to ask him, would tell you that his greatest friend in this race, without question, is the man who right now sits behind the pace car negotiating turn number 2. Both hands still on the wheel on that hydroxy-cut machine, but the hands of everyone inside this oval and on the outside of it in the air right now. Mark, that's because Dario Franchitti just watched his good friend go past. He's a half a lap away under caution from winning the Indy 500, Mark. What a popular one it will be.
2004 Series champion completed every lap in an unbelievable season. 261 starts, 107 top 5s, 168 top 10s. He's led over 3,200 laps, including over 200 in Indianapolis. Chris Denari, he's going to fill that glaring hole in his resume.
His countryman and friend Elio Castroneves has won this race 3 times. The first one is always the sweetest. He's behind the pace car in turn 4 by King. Here comes Tony Kanaan.
TK has wanted this race so bad. The crowd will come to its feet and will salute the man from Brazil who will finally fulfill his dream. For Tony Kanaan, the 12th time is the charm at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Twin Checkers Way. TK has won the 2013 500. Let's go to Nick Gilman.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, there is not a dry eye down in this pit lane.
This is IndyCar Radio on the IMS Radio Network.
Green flag is in the air. Pedro Hita gets shoved down nearly into pit lane. He'll drop to about 6th or 7th. Here comes Ed Jones. Jones to the outside. Michael Young, he'll clear him into turn number 1.
For the final time, our points leader goes around. Ed Jones just got by Dean Stoneman. Now Stoneman starting to take a look to the inside. Further back, Sorrellis battling with Kellen. So it's Jones. Then it's the machine of Stoneman. And third, Shelby Blackstock to Jake Query for the final time.
Each time that Ed Jones and Dean Stoneman have swapped the lead, the other's gotten it back. Now Stoneman's going to try the outside at turn number 3. Side by side into 3. Ed Jones to the bottom. Dean Stoneman to the top. Jones to the bottom line. Nick Yeoman coming at you out of turn number 4.
It may be another one of those thrilling Freedom 100 finishes. Side by side, Ed Jones, Dean Stoneman to the outside. They'll drag race. Stoneman gets him at the line. Stoneman grabs the win of the Freedom 100 by inches over Ed Jones as they go side by side across the yard of bricks.
Stay tuned for more on IndyCar Radio. Verizon IndyCar Series on IndyCar Radio.
Green flag flies, and we are underway in Mid-Ohio. Ford A. Newgarden with a drag race in turn number 4. Tony Kanaan tries to get to the inside of these fans. Tony Kanaan gets spun around and gets off in the dirt. Several cars working hard to try to avoid Tony Kanaan. We have a local caution in turn number 4.
Bourdais tries to close in now at the bottom of the keyhole on those fresher reds. Sebastian Bourdais stalking in on Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay trying to hold him up through 3.
Leaders at the start and finish line, or I should say the starting line. It's a side-by-side drag race. Hunter-Reay to the inside. The high side is Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais will grab the spot into turn number 4.
Joseph Newgarden hits his marks, although there is already, the jack came down. This is going to be a costly stop for Joseph Newgarden.
This is IndyCar Radio on the IMS Radio Network. The Verizon IndyCar Series on IndyCar Radio.
And it looks as though Jim Rathman from Miami, Florida, if he can hold out for the rest of this lap. Let's pick him up, boys, in the backstretch. Bernie Herman, you should be seeing him about now.
We're waiting for the quiet, unassuming Jim Rathman with the Campbell special. And here he comes now in car number 4. Bias goes Jim Rathman. Okay, Sid.
Pick up Blue Palmer in the northeast turn and follow it around, boys.
We've got him. The crowd knows Rathman's coming by, and he's got no competition. 2 more turns. He's made one of them. There's only 1 turn remaining. Number 4 for Jim Rathman, who goes into the short chute now. Here comes Roger Ward at the moment. Over to Jim Shelton.
All right, Jim Rathman just kind of taking it easy here. Boy, I don't know what happened. Roger Ward is really biting fingernails if he could. And here he comes now. He's dropping back considerably.
Okay, here's the checkered flag for Jim Rathman, the winner of the 44th annual 500-mile race.
The Verizon IndyCar Series on IndyCar Radio. Stay tuned for more on IndyCar Radio.
A white flag to Tom Sneva with a 10-second lead. Starts his last 2.5 miles.
Sneva, age 34, from Spokane, Washington, on his way to his first 500-mile victory, Doug.
And the fans on their feet in turn number 2, waving their hats, waving their scarves, whatever they've got, sending him up the backstretch.
Right here, they're doing the same thing. Everyone frantically and happily waving as he approaches turn 3. The hands are up, the hands are up. Tom Sneva, a half a lap to his first Indianapolis 500 victory. He could coast almost from here. He's in 4th.
The 67th running of the Indianapolis 500 is about to be capped off. To call the winner, here is the voice of the 500, Paul Pay.
The Texaco star, Tom Sneva, screams for the line. The double checkered flag, and Tom Sneva has won the Indianapolis 500, his first victory ever at Indianapolis.
Stay tuned for more on IndyCar Radio. This is IndyCar Radio on the IMS Radio Network.
And there is the white flag for number 3, John Rutherford. Pick it up, Ron Carroll.
Okay, Sid, and here he comes right now from that number 25th position in the starting field. Johnny Rutherford wins, or is about to win, his first 500 over to Howdy Bell in turn 2.
I'm really happy for Johnny and Betty because they're great people, and he likes homemade strawberry ice cream, incidentally, as he heads up the backstretch to Jerry Baker.
He just now goes past us, Johnny, heading in toward number 3, and as you say, one super guy apparently off to the best win of his career. Doug?
The crowd on its feet, waving their hats, waving their arms, as the red, white, blue helmet of Johnny Rutherford in the bright orange car goes streaking by over into turn number 4. Here's Jim Shelton.
Handsome driver, winning smile, and Johnny Rutherford. And here to call the winner is the voice of the 500, Sid Collins.
And here's the checkered flag for Johnny Rutherford, winner of the 1974 Indianapolis 500-mile race.
From Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's time for the Indy Lights, presented by Cooper Tires on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network.
On a beautiful Sunday morning in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, it is time to go racing for the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. My name's Nick Yeoman. Thanks for joining us on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network as we're about to run race number 2 of a double-header weekend for the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Yesterday, it was the Brazilian, Matheus Leist, started from pole, led every lap, cruised to victory. Today, he'll start second. On the pole, though, is the rookie second-generation phenom, Colton Herta. He'll lead him to the green, and we caught up with him after qualifying, scoring the pole here at Road America.
Colton, rough start to the weekend, obviously. Weren't able to get out there for the first practice session. You had a little bit of trouble at the start of the first qualifying session as well. You're going to start near the tail of the field for that race. This one, no. This qualifying session, good. Give me your thoughts on how you were able to come up to speed, not getting the track time you needed to start the weekend.
What a roller coaster ride this weekend. It started out quite bad, and now it's looking good. We still have a tough race. We're going to have to come from the back and try and get some points, but it should be all good.
Can you talk a little bit about the chassis setup itself? How does the car feel? Obviously, you're getting some input from your teammates based on what they were able to do earlier yesterday. How does the car feel for you right now?
Oh, it's amazing. It was always really good. We just had a little mechanical issues, but yeah, it's working good.
So it's Colton Herta on the pole with Matheus Leist to his outside. Kyle Kaiser will start third. Zachary Clayman DeMello fourth. In row 3, it's Santi Urrutia and Neil Alberico. Pair of rookies in the fourth row, Aaron Tielitz, the Wisconsin boy, to the inside. Nico Jamin, the Frenchman, to the outside. In row 5, it's Nicholas DePero and Shelby Blackstock. Row 6, Juan Pedrojita and Dalton Kellett. And in the final row, Garth Rickards and Ryan Norman, a pair of rookies. Got a couple guests in the booth. Our usual driver analyst, Davey Hamilton, is here. Davey, yesterday, boy, nobody had anything for Matheus Leist, but that doesn't mean we didn't see a lot of wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side action around this 4-mile road course.
Yeah, from second on back was very interesting, but Leist, he checked out. He had a good run now. What's interesting, he's going to start second today, but that's still the front row. Good shot to get down into turn 1 first and check out. The question mark, Colton Herta. Yesterday, he finished 12th. He started 12th, I think, finished 12th, or started 13th, actually, finished 12th. So didn't move up. One guy to watch today, Ryan Norman. Ryan, He finished 4th yesterday.
Yeah, had a great run, career best.
And starts 14th, starts dead last today. So we're going to see some action. We're going to see. Now, Colton Herta, he couldn't gain. He was in the back. He was fast in qualifying. I thought he was going to be good in yesterday's race, but just couldn't gain any ground. We're going to find out if these other guys could do it.
Happy to have Tony DeZino from the NBC Sports Network join us as well. Tony, a Wisconsin native yourself, got one in this field. Aaron Tielet's looking for kind of a bounce-back day, as yesterday didn't really go to according to plan.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. It's been a tough weekend for Aaron. He was a little under the weather to actually start the weekend, but he's coming off a good result at the Freedom 100. He was the only person to give Matthias Leist a run for his money there at the Speedway, finished 2nd. This is a race where that kick-started his championship run in the Pro Mazda Series last year. He swept the weekend. It's his home race. He's got a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of sponsor support as well, local backers. From 7th on the grid today, I would expect him to move forward, hopefully to get into podium position. Of
course, again, the Wisconsin native Aaron Tielet's driving for the Wisconsin's own Brian Bellardi, going to start in the 7th position today, the inside of row number 4 in that Soul Red Mazda number 9. Well, Davey mentioned Ryan Norman, a career best finish yesterday, coming home in 4th after starting near the front. Has his work cut out for him starting in the 14th position today, but we asked Ryan to let us join him in the cockpit a little bit earlier this weekend as he takes us around a lap here at Road America, this 14-turn, 4-mile road course. Here's Ryan Norman describing a lap here at Elkhart Lake.
So coming down the front straightaway in 6th gear, going super fast, going into turn 1, it's a quick jab of the brake and down 2 gears, and then slowly squeezing on the throttle, and then going down the hill into turn 3, another quick jab of the brakes, down 2 more gears. And that one's really important to get a good exit out because you're going down that long straightaway. So there's a lot of time to be gained there. And then the big brake zone into turn 5, hard on the brakes, down 4 gears, quickly getting it turned, going up the hill underneath the bridge, and then one downshift there and blind corner, and then slowly squeezing on the throttle, and then you got that fast right-hander, slow lift, squeeze back on, and then going back down the hill, down into turn 8, and another quick jab, down 3 gears, and then my favorite turn, going through the carousel, turn in flat, keep it flat as long as you can, and then when you start to feel the car go away, slowly lift off a little bit, and then squeeze back on. And then going through the kink, another really fast corner, really fun corner. And then going down into turn 12, one of the most difficult corners actually. Hard jab on the brake, down 3 or 4 gears, depending on if you have new tires or not. And then it's kind of hard playing the power there, so you got to squeeze on really slowly there. And then the blind left-hander going through 13, and then another quick jab down 1 gear, and then squeeze on for the front straightaway, which is really important to get a good exit there.
That's Ryan Norman, the American driver, the rookie, going to start shotgun on the field. We appreciate him for a couple moments of his time explaining a lap here at Road America. Well, Ryan Marine is down on pit lane. He's going to be joined by Rob Howden here in moments. Ryan, I think I hear engines, as it seems like we're about ready to go racing here in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires.
Yeah, your ears don't lie. We do have engines fired, so just moments away from getting this race, the second of the weekend for the series, started. And earlier, I think Davey hit the nail on the head. We have a really mixed-up grid with guys who were very quick yesterday. Juan Pichagita, Ryan Norman, who you just heard from starting towards the back. Guys who struggled a little bit yesterday, like Colton Herta and Zachary Clayman DeMello. They'll be starting in the top 4. Colton Herta, in fact, on the pole. I'm also curious to see what Matthias Leist can do starting from that second position. He kind of ran away with it yesterday. He's going to have to make at least one pass to do that again here today, so it should make for an interesting race indeed.
Well, we're going to have turns 9 through 14 covered here from the booth, but we've got 3 turn announcers out on the racetrack to describe the action for you. Starting in turn number 1, it is Michael Young.
Good morning, Nick Yeoman. The tail of the field now going by Garth Rickards and Ryan Norman. I have a great vantage point, the outside of turn number 1. Boy, when I got to the track today, I felt like I was going to a college football game in the fall. Instead, we're getting ready for the Indy Lights Series. I can see the crest of the hill as they come out of turn number 14. I'll see the top of the hill. That's where the start-finish line is. Then they'll do kind of a stair step, if you will, down into turn number 1. There's a slight drop in the elevation as they get down to turn 1, and as you heard Ryan Norman say, a quick stab of the brakes. Then they're flat out. They'll go over the Briggs and Stratton Tunnel and downhill into turn number 3. I can see the very top of the turn 3 cafe. Then they'll make that right-hander, a quick right-hander through turn number 4, and that's a beautiful portion of this course, lined with woods on both sides, where they'll come into view of Dave First.
Yeah, what other track do we go to that features zip lining, disc golf, and some of the fastest, most skilled drivers on the planet? It's all available here at Road America, and available around turn 5 as drivers reach the full song, passing under the Sargento Bridge, then downhill about 55 feet, hard on the brakes, getting down to second gear. From there, it's a 100-degree left-handed turn where we saw a great pass by Santi Urrutia for second place yesterday. Then back uphill under the Corvette Bridge, negotiating turns 6 and 7, a left-right combo. Our view today is courtesy of the Mazda Hospitality Center, a great vantage point and some pretty good coffee as well. As we hand things off to our Mark Janes. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Dave. Campers covering most of the real estate high atop the Carousel, which is where we are in turn number 8. They come off of turn 7 and come downhill. You hear Norman describe it as the fastest part, his favorite part of the racetrack, considering the turn. It is a sweeping right-hander, if you will, and it is so bad fast, and it carries you downhill as well. The momentum will kick you off to the outside of the racetrack underneath the Continental Tire Bridge, and then you set up for turn number 9 and 10, which is a kink, a switchback, and one of the most picturesque portions, and another signature portion, which is Canada Corner. Should be a great race for the Indy Lights today.
Appreciate it. Good to have the anchor of the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network, Mark Janes, out there with Dave First and Michael Young. Let's bring in the final member of our team, the Mazda Road to Indy insider, Rob Howden. You're down there on pit lane as we've got a pair of talented rookies on the front row.
Yeah, Nick Yeoman, this is going to be a very interesting race. We're kind of feeling a shift of momentum. It was Colton Herta early in the season. We thought maybe able to get a good run here towards the championship, but in the last couple of races, it's been Matheus Leis. 2 wins in a row. If he can do it again here today, I think the rest of this Indy Lights paddock is going to start getting worried that this young Brazilian could be on a roll.
So here we go. 14 of the best and brightest, the future of the Verizon IndyCar Series here in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Herta to the inside, Leis to the outside. They'll roar through the gearbox up the hill, and we'll see the green flag. Nice jump for Colton Herta as he's going to grab the lead from pole position. They'll roar across the start-finish line. Looks like Leis is going to try to hold on to second as Kaiser moves to the inside looking for the second spot, Michael.
Night and day difference between yesterday and today. Colton Herta with a position. Then it's the machine of Kaiser. That's P2 cleanly through turn number 1. Yesterday we had Neil Albarico with a little damage on that front wing. Not so today. They're down to turn 3.
Herta takes the lead. It looks like Kaiser's going to jump into that second spot as he's got Santi Urrutia in tow. Urrutia takes a look to the outside. Dave First, they're going to be side by side again for second.
Yeah, Urrutia was on the charge yesterday, made a big jump from 10th to second, and now double wide as they go through turn 2. And Santi Urrutia does indeed jump on that second spot, but now a battle as Kaiser comes back. Battle for second, head your way as Colton Herta remains in the lead, Mark Janes.
Waiting for them to crest the hill. All of this is going on behind Colton Herta. Santi Urrutia started in the 5th position. He's looking to make his way toward the front. Herta with about a 6-car length advantage now over Kyle Kaiser. He holds that position over Urrutia as we speak. Herta really starts to pull away as they make their way around the Carousel. And again, Kyle Kaiser was able to fend off the charge of Santi Urrutia. He grabbed the spot. The 13 of Zachary Clayman de Mello. He rides in the 4th position.
Davey, we already got problems for Nico Jamin.
Yeah, it looks like maybe, well, he's come to a stop. Yellow's going to come out. I thought it was a flat tire, but I don't see a flat at this point, so I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he has came to, he's going again. So hopefully that maybe recycled the engine, and something must have happened. He recycled it and trying to go again.
Tony, that was a pretty wild opening lap. We saw Shelby Blackstock run wide at turn 5.
He went off at turn 5. That's action corner where everything seems to happen. There was at least 2-3 wide, multiple spots back in the pack. This is a big opportunity opportunity to gain laps and gain positions early on in this race.
It's Colton Herta with a nice lead, though, Michael Young, as we've got one lap in the books.
Now, Colton Herta already cresting the top of the hill, that start-finish line, and has about a 20-car length advantage over second place Kyle Kaiser. Then it's a machine of Zachary Clement-DeMello, Santia Urrutia fourth, then Matthias Lace, the runaway winner yesterday, in fifth. For Santia, we have a spin. That is Garth Rickards, the back of the field, just the tail end of the turn number one, actually crest the apex. The back end stepped out on Garth Rickards. He stands still on the outside of turn number one, did not make any contact, still is on the actual asphalt, so he gets the thing refired, and indeed he does, gets it down into first gear, but near horrible stop for Garth Rickards as he nearly got into that gravel trap, but looks like he's back okay. We're still green, but he's now parked and needs a start, so we may have to go yellow, Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, he's waving to the Homatro safety team trying to get a start. And Dave, first, we got some issues down in turn 5.
Yeah, Juan Piedrahita was towards the back of the field when he was going through turn 5, and that back end just stepped around. He lost all of the positions that aren't left by Garth Rickards. So Juan Piedrahita now trailing this field here this morning.
Boy, what a bizarre start to this race. Problems for Nico Jamin on the opening lap. Garth Rickards currently sits in the turn 1 area, finally got that car restarted, and as we mentioned, Juan Piedrahita with problems as well. Let's get a couple updates from pit lane. It looks like Zachary Clement-DeMello actually going to jump to the outside and try to take a spot away from Kyle Kaiser. He will, so move Clement-DeMello into the second position. But again, we got some updates from pit lane. Let's start with Ryan Marine.
Checked in with Andretti Autosport. Expect to see Nico Jamin coming into the pits here shortly. Mechanical issues, still trying to identify exactly what is wrong with that race car. So unfortunate for one of our championship contenders. It looks like he's making his way down pit road right now.
Just got to replay Davey Hamilton of Garth Rickards spinning right in front of Shelby Blackstock there in turn 1.
Yeah, as Michael said, he just got in a little too hot earlier in the corner. Looks like under braking, just turned that thing around, slid off right in front of Blackstock, but made it clear. He got clear of the track too, but I tell you what, Herta's got some company right now.
Yeah, as good as that opening lap was for Colton Herta, the second and third laps haven't been nearly as good as Zachary Clement-DeMello has run him down. Dave first, Clement-DeMello looks to the outside, side by side for the lead.
Colton Herta as they make their way under the Sargento Bridge. Difficult to see because of the way the sun is shining on the field. Colton Herta will remain with the lead, but here comes Zachary Clement-DeMello now to the outside, peeks to the outside, now jumps back in line as they head through turn 6 and 7. That battle for the lead's heating up here, Mark Janes.
Garth Rickards, who spun, clears our vantage point. They're single file as they come down the hill. They'll climb on the binders, make the turn into the right-hander. Clement-DeMello is right there. Then Kaiser. Then it's Santia Urrutia. They make their way around the carousel. There's no question that Herta's not as comfortable as he was. Now a short straightaway under the Continental Bridge. About a 4-car length advantage for the first place running Colton Herta.
Tony DeZino from the NBC Sports Network joins us. Zachary Clement-DeMello, talented young Canadian driver looking for that first win. He's been hungry as of late and awful fast.
And motivated too, Nick. This is a guy who is on the podium as Colton locks up at Canada Corner. Zach putting the pressure on him. He has good days, he has bad days. When he's on, he's on. When he's off. You never know which one he's going to show up. It's a Jekyll and Hyde type. But he tested here in an IndyCar a couple of weeks ago. Didn't have much running, but he's got track experience. He's motivated as we see Garth Rickards come past us into the pits. ZCD is very motivated and wants to get his first W today.
Boy, big lockup for Colton Herta down in Canada Corner, and that has allowed Zachary Clement-DeMello. He's closing up on the back, Michael Young, about 4 car lengths as they head to turn number 1.
A lot closer the last time by settles back in just a little bit. So Colton Herta, then Zachary Clement-DeMello. Kyle Kaiser about 2 car lengths back from that. Then it's the machine of Santia Urrutia. And yesterday's winner, Matthias Lace. Closer to the back of the field, Ryan Norman starting to make some moves as he moves further up in the field. Then the very tail end of the field, Juan Piedrahita and Nico DePero as they make their way to turn number 3 and turn number 4. You should just about see it right now, Dave First.
Yeah, that sun kind of peeks over the tree-lined area of turns 4 and 5. Now down the Moraine Straight they come. Colton Herta maintains the gap over Zachary Clement Clayman DeMello, but DeMello is right behind. I'm going to give it about a car length and a half between the two. Herta, DeMello, battle for that lead continues here at Road America.
About a 3-car length advantage again for Colton Herta. He'll break a little later, which allows him to get off the corner a little quicker. Rickards has spun again on the course, but meanwhile, that battle for the lead continues now to open up a little bit for Colton Herta. The sweeping right-hander around the carousel. They slip underneath the Continental Bridge. A wide exit. Kaiser, he has a firm grasp on third. Santi Arruzia, Nick, he was on the move early. Looked like he might even challenge for the lead, but now he's settled back a little bit.
Yeah, he lost that fourth position to Matthias Lace leading down into turn number 5. And Michael Young, it's been a rough outing so far for the rookie Garth Rickards as turn 1, a trouble spot for him once again.
Well, he just came out of pit lane and he was flying those tires not up to 10, but he spun the exact same spot he did on lap number 2. So Garth Rickards back underway, but a rough morning for that young man.
Boy, and he is now sitting right at the exit or the entrance of turn number 1. Leaders are charging up the hill. He's trying to get that car started, Davey. Excuse me, that was a replay. My apologies. Slow motion replay of Rickards' spin there in turn number 1. Michael Young, though, battle for the lead is on in turn number 1.
Yes, indeed. Colton Herta to the outside. Zachary Clayman DeMello, 10th yesterday to the point today. A nice pass to the outside. Zachary Clayman DeMello starting to set up. Colton Herta at the top of the hill. He swung it wide, took it in deep. Colton Herta let him go by. So a textbook pass for that young man. Zachary Clayman DeMello to the lead.
He may have let him by this time, but it's probably an opportunity to just cool the jets a little bit. Tire wear, oh so important when it comes to these Indy Lights races. Zachary Clayman DeMello, then it's Colton Herta, then the 18 of Kyle Kaiser, Rutia, Laced, Alberico, Telitz. Boy, this could be a big weekend for Carlin Racing if Zachary Clayman DeMello can hang on today.
To the left of this short little straightaway coming down the hill is a world-class karting facility, and who knows, some of these guys may have run on that from time to time, but it's indicative of what you find here. Even the karting facility has incredible undulations. I'll tell you what, now that he's cleared him, talking about Zachary Clayman DeMello, he is full throttle, Nick Yeoman, and really starting to pull away from the 98 of Colton Herta.
Maybe the new leader, Zachary Clayman DeMello's got a rocket ship so far in the early goings of this race.
Yeah, now I think he's in a position, knowing he has a fast car, that he can save these tires a little bit, just be easier on him. He knows he has the lead. He knows he earned that lead. Now just keep a nice gap between him and Colton Herta and just kind of be easy on his tires from here on out.
Still saw the back of that car, though, kick out a bit exiting Canada Corner as Clayman DeMello's opened up about an 8-car length lead over Colton Herta. Herta's trying to hold off Kyle Kaiser in the 3rd spot. Matthias Lace is 4th. Santi Arruzia is 5th as we will complete lap number 4 here at Road America. Leaders back up the hill across the start-finish line, and they'll head to turn number 1. Michael Young with Zachary Clayman DeMello leading the field.
Looks like everybody kind of settling in this time. Zachary Clayman DeMello, 2 car lengths over Herta, then Kyle Kaiser, Matthias Lace, then Santi Arruzia, Neil Alberico, and a nice run for Aaron Telitz, who had a rough go of things yesterday, actually rebounding very nice here in race number 2. Interesting talk to Santi Arruzia yesterday. He said, I need to win. Had 4 wins last year, nothing to this point, just a couple of runner-up finishes. So for Santi, and Garth Rickards really slow, nearly collected Nico DePero, as Nico very quick to be seeing that Rickards machine and not collecting him.
Colton Herta with a pass on Zachary Clayman DeMello, but DeMello gets him back now on the inside of turn 5. So Zachary Clayman DeMello hangs on to the lead, but Colton Herta is not going to let him go too far ahead.
They come off of turn number 7, make their way down the hill. He made a good shot at it, did Colton Herta, and all that did was allow those to bunch up behind him. Among those, of course, Kyle Kaiser in that 18 machine. He is stuck right in the tire tracks of Colton Herta. Meanwhile, Zachary Clayman DeMello starts to pull away a little bit. Kaiser can't relax too much because running just behind him, the number 26 machine. That, of course, is Matthias Lace, who was so dominant yesterday.
I'll tell you what, Tony, this has been a much different race than yesterday. Laced took off, checked out on the field. Today, you're in the lead. You're not going to hold on to it very long.
No, barn burner, Nick. Remember, these Indy Lights cars have pushed it past, too. So, and this is a track where you can draft. You can use the straights to your advantage. We have 3 really long straights here. So if you're close enough, there's a lot of options that you can do. Real big test for ZCD here. We've never really seen him in a leading situation before. Colton's never really been in a charging situation. He needs this result because he's had a rough patch here, really, since his wins at Barber.
And also, Davey, kind of night and day for Colton Herta. As frustrating as yesterday was, it's improved quite a bit today.
Yeah, without a question about it. I mean, it's been actually really good. And these guys right now, you know what's impressive with these guys, with conditions as good as they are right now, nice cool temperatures, push pass is something these guys are dealing with, so you got to be careful. But Clement DeMello, nice little lead right now, almost a 1 second lead. They're all gapped out pretty good right now. But as we seen yesterday, that's the way they were in the middle of the race yesterday, but they tighten right back up. So we'll see what happens.
And Zachary Clement DeMello got an official warning from race control for blocking leading down into turn number 5. That battle between he and Colton Herta was something else as they were going wheel to wheel. Clement DeMello gave up the spot initially to Herta, Davey, but had to run to the inside. And again, they were moving all over the racetrack. Top of the hill might be where they got Clement.
Yeah, that was a situation where there's no way Colton could have passed him right there, so he didn't need to make that move. It didn't really affect anything, but at the end of the day, he did not need to make that move because Colton was at such a bad angle for that corner that Clement DeMello would have drove on by anyways.
6 laps in the books. It is Zachary Clement DeMello, your leader. Colton Herta runs in the 2nd spot. Kyle Kaiser is 3rd. Mateus Laced is 4th. Santi Urrutia is 5th. Aaron Thielitz is 6th. Neil Alberico 7th. Ryan Norman 8th. Dalton Kellett is 9th. Shelby Blackstock runs in the 10th position. Juan Pedro Heath is 11th. Nico DePero is 12th. Garth Rickards is 13th. And Nico Jamin appears to be out of the race in the 14th position. Let's get an update on pit lane from Rob Howden.
Yeah, Nick, obviously the push-to-pass program here this year, a bit of an adjustment. It's only able to use on offense, not on defense, as it has been in the past. They got 15 10-second bursts in race number 1, 20 10-second bursts here in race number 2, and we're seeing these drivers able to use it. As long as you're within 1.5 seconds of the driver in front of you, you're able to use that push-to-pass, and we're seeing that keep this race so close, and we're seeing the great racing as a result. One driver, we said, though, out of the race already, and he stands by right now with Ryan Moraine.
Speaking with Nico Jamin, you're out of the race car. Unfortunately, what took you out of this race?
I don't know what it is. I think it might be electronic. I think everything was fine during the warm-up lap. I took a good start, picked up 1 or 2 spots, I'm not sure. And then exit of 5, I was in 1st gear, shift to 2nd, and the thing just went to neutral, and then from that on it was impossible to put any gear on. Stopped on track, put everything off, everything on, and same problem again. Emergency mode didn't work, nothing worked. So we're out, losing a lot of points obviously today. That's a big bummer, but yeah, we'll try to bounce back in Iowa.
What are your emotions being in this situation, considering you're in the midst of a big championship fight?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm extremely upset, I mean, if you lose a race by doing a mistake, my own mistakes, okay, I made a mistake, but today we're losing probably about 30 points on something that's not up to me. Mechanical issue. I don't know where that came from, so I don't want to blame anyone, but obviously very, very disappointed.
Tough luck today. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
That's Nico Jamin. We'll finish 14th today, and Tony DeZino, you've been watching this young man in the Monster Road to Indy ladder system. A very talented driver, victory lane already twice this year. 3rd in the points entering today. That is going to be a massive hit.
This is a very tough break for Nico, and I spoke to him when he did his maiden IndyCar test last week here as well, also with Andretti Autosport. He was so excited about that opportunity. He's at that point where he's getting ready to move up, but guys that don't win the Mazda Scholarship, that don't win the championship, are in a tougher position where they have to gather more funding to make that next step. Nico's got the talent to do it, but whether he's going to have the opportunity is another question.
Davey Hamilton, the competition in this series is tough enough. To have a mechanical issue, just how disappointing and frustrating is that for a driver when you're in the midst of a championship?
Well, it's definitely frustrating, but this is racing, man. You got to take the good with the bad. I know he's bummed out, and it's nothing that he did, as he said, but man, the mechanical's just a bummer. You try to eliminate those because that does take your championship hopes away, and it's out of everybody's control.
Ryan Moraine, you have more on that very disappointed driver that's going to finish 14th today.
Yeah, that's right, Nico Jamin, who you talked about the talent just a moment ago. Tony certainly alluded to it. He's had a really remarkable year, not just in Indy Lights, but also competing in a couple of sports car races in just a few essentially one-offs. He's won basically everything he's been in. He raced a GTS car in World Challenge a couple of months ago, also a IMSA Prototype Challenge Series race, swept the weekend at Sebring. So a guy with a lot of talent in a lot of different race cars, but clearly frustrated with the way things transpired this morning.
Going to be better days ahead, certainly for Nico Jamin, as this disappointing finish is going to drop him to at least 4th in points. We'll see how it shakes out, though, the rest of the day. Zachary Claman-DeMello is your leader as we have 8 laps in the books. Colton Herta runs 2nd. Kyle Kaiser is 3rd. Matthias Leist is 4th. Probably best battle on the racetrack looks to be between a pair of Bilardi Auto Racing teammates, Santi Urrutia and Aaron Tielitz. Before we pick that battle up, we'll get an update from Rob Howden.
Yeah, Nick, not sure what happened on the racetrack, but an issue for Nico DePero. He came into pit lane here. The right end fence on the front wing was knocked off and some damage to the tire as well. So obviously a little bit of an issue there for DePero. They were able to put a new wing on, get him a new right front, and he's back down and away. But again, DePero, the young rookie driver, with some issues on track.
Claman-DeMello, Herta, Kaiser, Leist. But again, that battle for 5th, Michael Young, looking pretty good as Santi Urrutia trying to hold off his teammate Aaron Tielitz.
Boy, that's a nice lead for Zachary Claman-DeMello. First I've really seen it in a while, but here's that battle for 5th we were talking about. Urrutia and about a car length back for Aaron Tielitz. As we said, Aaron Tielitz yesterday really struggled in this race, but finds himself actually in top 5 contention if he can get around his teammate. As we said yesterday, Aaron Tielitz in the 11th position, as we said, trying to battle in that 5th position. But Zachary Claman-DeMello, just like his teammate yesterday, Matthias Leist, has checked out, Dave First.
Leist is checked out, but now Colton Herta is in a battle for 2nd right now. Kyle Kaiser around to the outside of turn 5 as they head under the Corvette bridge. Yeah, move Kyle Kaiser up to 2nd. Colton Herta all of a sudden moving further back in the field.
Kyle Kaiser's been biding his time. The last couple of times through the carousel, his car looked really, really strong through here. That passing zone in turn number 5, one of the primary ones on this race course. So shift Kyle Kaiser to that 2nd position. Meanwhile, your leader set sail underneath us. That is, of course, the 13 machine of Zachary Claman-DeMello. So dominant. Colton Herta, no rest for the weary, Nick Yeoman, because right at his tire tracks, Matthias Leist.
Yeah, we saw Leist get a nice exit out of the carousel as he was trying to run down Colton Herta, looking for that 3rd spot. Davey Hamilton, I don't want to use the cliche slip of paper in between those two cars as they exited turn 6, but it was awful close between Kaiser and Herta.
You know, Herta is not easy to pass. He definitely knows how to use up the racetrack, and Kyle Kaiser had to use every inch that he gave him, and they were close, man. It could have been contact right there, but Colton, you know, he drives clean. He's not going to give you any extra room, but he gives you enough not to have contact. But Leist right now, he's putting a little pressure on Colton.
Yeah, Leist is trying to move into that 3rd spot, the podium position, as Herta ran a little wide out of the racetrack. Michael Young, that battle for 5th, though, is not going away. Aaron Tielitz has grabbed that spot around Santi Urrutia. 3 cars headed at you.
Boy, Urrutia went down low trying to get back around Tielitz, swung wide. Tielitz nearly steps out the back end, the exit of turn number 1. Now Neil Alberico making the charge. Ryan Norman nearly loses it at the exit of turn number 1. Plenty of action as they make their way through turn 1, now through turn 3, and down to Dave First and 5.
I go back a year ago when Aaron Tielitz showed up here at Road America and swept the 2 races in Pro Mazda, as we see Kyle Kaiser and Herta going back and forth in this battle for 2nd. Give it to Kyle Kaiser as they make their way through turn number 6 and 7. But Aaron Tielitz swept here a year ago. That helped kickstart his Pro Mazda championship. He's hoping to move up again here this weekend, Mark.
I think with those guys running nose to tail, you'd like to think that they could pull up on that leader, but my gosh, Zachary Claman-DeMello is in the proverbial class by himself, a lead of close to 5 seconds. He is clearing the Continental Tire Bridge, and we wait and we wait and we wait. Now there's Kaiser. Now there's Herta. Now there's 26 of Leist.
And Davey, it's a classic example as these guys mix it up for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, further back for 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's got to be nothing nothing but good news for Zachary Clayman DeMello.
Yeah, he's loving it right now. Had dominant car as his teammate did yesterday. Now, it shows what track position does. You know, Laced was started on the outside front row, had a bad start, puts himself back. He fights back up to fourth, but just that dirty, as dominant of a car that he had yesterday, just hard to pass here.
Halfway here at Road America, Zachary Clayman DeMello's lead is nearly 5 seconds. Tony DeZino, we've seen 5 different winners so far this season. If this result holds, we're going to see a 6th. It's a 14-car field. That says a lot about the competition in the series.
Not to mention, Nick, Zach would be the second Carlin member to win after Lace, and neither one of them is Neil Alberico, a guy who's been in his second season. We kind of expected him to win his first race at some point this year, and it hasn't happened yet, even though he's run a lot better. Speaks to the real cohesion of the Colin Hill team. They've really switched their lineup up. Zach was at a different team last year, but he's really started to find his footing.
Colton Herta really not going away, Dave. First, he took a real deep charge to the outside of Kaiser the previous lap. Looks like he might do it again.
Same spot, although same result right now as Kyle Kaiser, the points leader in this series, is able to hold off Colton Herta, but further back, all of a sudden, Laced is a player in this. It's a 3-car battle right now for second. Kyle Kaiser that leads that pack. Further back, we have contact between Shelby Blackstock and Dalton Kellett as they head under the Corvette Bridge. Both were able to continue on, but all kinds of action here at Road America. Mark Janes.
Boy, Davey Hamilton, we just saw the replay of Blackstock and Kellett go up the hill, and we talked about trying to slip a paper in between the tires. That time it didn't work, as those two just about ended up winding up.
Shelby came off turn 5, a little sideways, overcorrected. Kellett's on the inside of him, and then they almost touch on exit. And then when Shelby got on the gas, it turned him sideways. I don't know if they touched or not. We have a replay right now how close they were. He's over the rumble strip. We're talking Blackstock. Gets sideways right in front of Kellett. I mean, almost loses it. Kellett turns, slightest of contact at that point. Then he turns the other way. Blackstock goes the other way. It's like a wagging dog. He's back and forth, and finally gets that thing straightened out.
Boy, tip of the cap, Tony DeZino, to the camera crew from IMS Productions, shooting the race for the big screens here, and as well as NBC Sports Network. That was a great shot.
They rocked it, and I think Shelby, his mom's Reba McEntire, so he's got a country music career. You could write a country song about saving it there with a slide job out again, saving it and not crashing.
Well, that was pretty amazing down there. That was exiting again, turn 5, that left-hander here at Road America. Zachary Clayman DeMello is your leader. Kyle Kaiser has that second spot for now. Colton Herta runs in third. Matthias Lace is fourth. Fifth is Aaron Telis, the Wisconsin boy. Sixth is Santi Urrutia. Neil Alberico runs in seventh. Ryan Norman is in the 8th position. Dalton Kellett is 9th. Shelby Blackstock is 10th. Juan Pedro Hita is 11th. Nico DePero 12th. Garth Rickers 13th. Nico Jamin 14th. Dave first. A lot of those mid-pack cars heading to you in turn 5.
I tell you what, it's fascinating to watch this battle for second as well as Kaiser maintains that position over Colton Herta, but Matthias Lace, he's an interested party right now, sitting in fourth, but if something happens between Kaiser and Herta, he can make a play for second. Mark Janes.
Clayman DeMello halfway through the carousel while the rest of the field is just now entering turn number 8. Kyle Kaiser about a 5-car length advantage as they make the sweeping long right-handed turn around the carousel. Now they'll swing wide upon exit. Herta trying to stay in the tire tracks. Laced actually pulls up on Herta a bit as they exit turn number 9.
6.7 seconds, Davey Hamilton. The gap from Clayman DeMello back to Kaiser. How about these Carlin boys?
Pretty amazing. I mean, both days a different driver in that Carlin team is dominated and is dominating, I should say. But it's same as yesterday. From second on back, man, they are fighting it out, especially Kaiser, Herta, and Lace.
Yeah, Kaiser runs in that second spot. Herta about 4-car lengths back as they make their way through turn 14 in third. Laced right there in fourth, another 3 or 4 car lengths. Kaiser gets a really nice run out of turn 14, hammers the accelerator back up the hill. It's a good battle, Michael Young. 3 cars all looking for the second step on the podium.
Yeah, but Zachary Clayman DeMello halfway to Green Bay at this point, but that is a nice battle for second. Down to 1 car length, Kyle Kaiser, and then Colton Herta, the interested party of Matthias Lace behind him. Now Aaron Telis really checking out in that 5th position away from Santi Urrutia. That will allow Neil Alberico a little opportunity to gain some ground. The rest of the field cleanly through turns number 2 and 3 on their way to turn number 5.
Not sure who's having more fun this morning, the guys that are zip lining to my right or Zachary Clayman DeMello, who's making his way through turns 5 and 6 to my left. And then the battle for second still heating up. Kaiser tried to hang on. In fact, he does hang on to second place over Colton Herta as the two nearly made contact on the entry of turn number 5 under the Corvette bridge to that left-right combo, 6 and 7. They're heading your way, Mark James.
Have at it, says the lucky 13 of Zachary Clayman DeMello. Throw the proverbial blanket over second, third, and fourth. Herta lost a little momentum as they enter the Carousel. They'll make the exit now as Kaiser stretches the advantage out underneath the Continental Tire Bridge. That the car length is about 7 or 8 now. Matthias Place saying, guys, if you open the door, I'm going to take it.
Davey, what's to say about the setup on Colton Herta's car that he's able to close into turn 1, close into turn 5, but the car seems so unstable trying to complete that pass?
Well, I think it's the push to pass. I think that he is using that push to pass. I'm interested. Unfortunately, we don't have any of the data to see how many push to passes he has left and when he's using it, but I would have to think as close as he was and how much room he gained, he used it down the front straightaway the last time, and then obviously going down into turn 5 the last couple laps.
Leader Zachary Clayman DeMello across the start-finish line. Just 6 laps to go here at Road America as he sails into turn number 1. The gap back to Kyle Kaiser is now Michael Young, nearly 9 full seconds as Kaiser continues to try to hold off Herta.
Zachary Clayman DeMello already over the Stratton Bridge before I see the rest of the field. Kaiser, then it's the machine of Colton Herta and Matthias Leish, yesterday's winner. Rest of the field really strung out this latter part of the race. Everybody kind of finding their groove, but that battle for second continues to heat up in the closing stages of this race.
Let's see if they do the same thing this lap as they've done the previous few laps or so. As they now go 2 wide, here comes Matthias Leish to the outside of Colton Herta. Kaiser still second. Leish, though, not going to settle for that position for third as the battle heats up now for third. Leish still maintains his position behind Colton Herta.
Little by little, more fans are taking more interest in what's going on here as the action heats up in the battle for second. Kyle Kaiser with the advantage because of the dust-up between Colton Herta and Matthias Leish to that 5-6 complex. There goes your leader. He's long gone by now. Kyle Kaiser through the Carousel starting to check out a little bit. He has a much more comfortable advantage. Herta is able to fend off the 26 of Leish for now.
Boy, Rob Houghton, these drivers running second, third, and fourth. Kaiser, Herta, and Leish seem like they're all about even. The one thing that always comes into play is who manages their Cooper tires the best here at Road America.
Yeah, Nick, talking to one of the Cooper tire reps down here and feeling that the fact that the temperature's starting to come up on the racetrack, that cool morning has kind of made way for the beating sun. The track temperature coming up significantly. And interesting to note, 2 of the drivers up front actually starting on sticker Coopers. It is your leader, Zach Clayman DeMello, and then Colton Herta. They started on fresh tires. When you start on the fresh tires and not the scuffs, there's the potential for them to go away a little quicker at the end of the race. You start on scuffs, you're going to get a more consistent tire through to the end. The Cooper guys are thinking that maybe Colton Herta could be dealing with an issue with those tires starting to nose over, getting past their optimum grip, and that's going to allow Matthias Leish to potentially pounce and grab that third position.
Yeah, Leish is all over the rear wing of Herta as they make their way down the hill towards turn number 3. Leish just about got him on the previous lap. Good exit for both of those drivers. They'll swing underneath the Sargento Bridge. Leish is close, Dave. First, is he close enough to try to make a pass?
Yeah, but Leish was so dominant yesterday, probably becoming a little impatient here this morning as he doesn't make a move. Took a slight peek to the inside of turn 5 to Colton Herta, but decided to get in line once again. Further back, we see Urrutia, the 22 of Albarico. Give a shout out to Norman as well. Norman, remember, he started dead last in today's race. He's worked his way into the top 10.
About 17 carts now dot the landscape just to the outside of the racetrack to the entrance to turn number 8. Meanwhile, Kyle Kaiser enjoys a nice advantage over Colton Herta. Herta and Leish, they dueled for a while, and they took a shot at Kaiser, took a shot at one another. None of those moves were successful. Now, all of a sudden, I don't know, Nick, that he has enough time left, but the 9 of Aaron Thielen certainly tried to join that pack.
Yeah, he's looked awful racy. He is 13.5 seconds back of the leader, Zachary Clayman DeMello, but just 2 seconds behind Matthias Leish for the 4th spot. So he is certainly trying to run him down and join that party in that battle for second. This is the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. My name is Nick Yeoman. Happy to have Davey Hamilton, our driver analyst, in the booth. Tony DeZino as well. well from the NBC Sports Network. Tony, 4 laps to go. Let's talk a little bit about the work you've been doing for NBC and where folks can catch all the stuff that you've been writing about. I know you cover just about anything with an engine and wheels.
Pretty much. This is a very hectic weekend. Obviously, we've got all the activity here at Road America, the Verizon IndyCar Series later today, Indy Lights coverage now, F1's in Baku, try to cover all of it, and some of the other additional support series. And, watching from up here gives you a vantage point that helps enhance that coverage, I like to think, because you get a different look inside the timing and see how all the different angles, how this all works.
As we mentioned, this is, of course, home for you, Davey Hamilton. You said this is your first trip up the Road America.
I can't believe that all these years, but IndyCar just didn't come here until last year.
I want to ask you were driving the 2-seater last night, first chance to really get on the track. What was that like, piloting a 2-seater around the racetrack?
You know what? It was very interesting. You learn so much more when you're on the racetrack. I mean, we can learn a lot from watching, but just how fast it really is. There's 3 super fast straightaways where, I was on the limiter in the 2-seater, so, I mean, that tells you the speed. And then these corners are so unique, man. So much fun. And I was following the best guy in town. Zach Veach was in front of me in the other 2-seater, and so I was following his line, watching him, and by the end of the session, I could stay with him, so I was pretty happy with that. But it is a very unique course, a lot of fun, some blind corners, some heavy braking down in turn 5. It's heavy braking down there, and there is room for error in a lot of these corners, but it's rumble strips out there, and you do lose time still. But one of the coolest corners, I think that is so fast is turn 13. Man, you go through there wide open, and watching an IndyCar go through there is so impressive. And being able to drive that yesterday in 2-seater, see how it's done, and there's no margin for error, that's for sure.
Zachary Claman-DeMello is your leader across the start-finish line. Just 3 laps to go as he looks to pick up his first career win in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. He streaks into turn 1. The gap back to second place running Kaiser. We wait for time scoring to update. It's 10 seconds. Then you've got Herta, Lace, Telitz. But the battle I'm watching, Michael Young, is for 6th. Santi Urrutia leading a whole host of cars down to turn number 1.
Ryan Norman starts to swing wide. He takes a look to the inside of the Neil Alberico machine. He'll make the pass into turn number 1. Now Neil Alberico tries to return the favor down into turn number 3. The car to watch, guys, last time by Matthias Lace. He nearly lost it here in turn number 1. Looks like those Cooper tires may have been used up in these last couple of laps or so.
Yeah, that battle for 6 has been heating up the last couple of circuits around here at beautiful Road America. Right now, Urrutia has it. He's been trying to hold off Alberico now, as that battle now makes their way through turn 5. The 48 of Ryan Norman makes his way around, so move Norman up a spot. Urrutia, Norman, Alberico as they head your way, Mark James.
I think we should make mention of the fact that Ryan Norman started 14th. Maybe has a little luck by being the driver that we chose to take us on a lap around here on the pre-race show. But now he has Urrutia firmly in the crosshairs, and the 51 of Shelby Blackstock now is trying to keep pace with Norman. They sweep around the carousel, pop out of our view momentarily, then pop right back into view underneath the Continental Tire Bridge. The black and orange 48 machine of Ryan Norman on the charge late in the race.
Tony, this is going to be a great weekend for Ryan Norman, a guy that a rookie in the series, been a slow start to his career, but looks like here at Road America and at the Freedom 100 before that opening lap accident, really starting to get comfortable with these cars.
Limited Formula car experience for sure, Nick, but he's really starting to come into his own. He's been kind of quietly consistent. He's banked a lot of solid top 10s. I think he could have been on the podium at the Freedom 100 if he didn't get taken out in the first lap incident. Very racy today. This is a very heads-up drive. To come from 14th to 7th, especially in a race with no cautions, as we've had thus far, speaks volumes of what he's been able to do. He's coming. We should also note Shelby Blackstock moved up to spot 2 in that turn 5 bit. He got around Neil Alberico on the run down to that. We see him moving up as well. We see Aaron Telitz closing. There's a lot going on in the closing stages of this race.
Rob Howden, an impressive run for Ryan Norman as he has one more spot in mind. And Michael Young, we've got a problem in turn 1.
Juan Pedrahita got around, nearly collected the machine of Garth Rickards and Dalton Kellett. He sits in the grass at the inside of turn number 1. As we saw, a great battle starting to shape up with Santi Urrutia down there. Should be with you in turn number 5, Dave, first.
Just watching Colton Herta trying to reel in Kyle Kaiser. I don't think that battle for second is yet done. As further back, Santi Urrutia and Ryan Norman go back and forth. Too wide through turn 5. Now it's Norman around, trying to go to the high side around Urrutia. That battle for 5th and 6th heating up here, Mark James.
The leader almost an afterthought, Zachary Clayman DeMello. He's well out of our view halfway through the carousel. That battle for second has settled out a little bit for now. Meanwhile, out of turn number 8, Urrutia is trying to hold off the 48 of Ryan Norman. Shelby Blackstock is right there. They are nose to tail, separated by about a car length. They exit the sweeping right-hander. Pop out of our view now. Urrutia starts to pull away a little bit.
Pedro Herta got that car refired in turn number 1. Urrutia and Norman made sure they didn't take each other out too much there in turn number 6. But we take our attention back to the front of the field. Zachary Clayman DeMello out of turn number 14. Michael Young, he's going to see the white flag. The Canadian driver 1 lap away from scoring his first career Indy Lights win.
He had a podium finish in race number 1 last year here at Road America. Loves to play hockey to stay in shape. Hails from Montreal, Quebec. And that young man must love this chill in the air this morning because he is clean and green this entire race. Once he got around Kyle Kaiser, he has checked out. The battle for the remainder of this race really starting to heat up in the back of the field. Ryan Norman, now the machine of Shelby Blackstock, looks to the outside. Near contact into turn number 1 for the final time.
Road America is known for elevation changes. Makes you wonder what how a win might elevate the career path of one Zachary Clayman DeMello. A commanding lead here at Road America as Kyle Kaiser hangs on to second, Colton Herta third, and Matthias Lace, who dominated so well yesterday, he's hanging on to fourth, Mark James. Zachary Clayman DeMello heading your way.
Yep, into the carousel now. In addition to the hockey that Michael Young referenced, you'll find him doing some mixed martial arts and doing what a young guy does, playing Xbox and PlayStation. The Canadian is going to be all smiles in victory lane today. Just got a few more turns to go. That battle for second pretty well shaken out. It belongs to Kyle Kaiser right now. I don't think that Colton Herta has anything for him as they exit the Continental Bridge. Meanwhile, Nick, a little farther back, that battle between Lace and Company, Shelby Blackstock, Ryan Norman, that sorted itself out as well.
Boy, some of the racing throughout the pack has just been tremendous today, but nobody has had anything for Zachary Clayman DeMello. Through turn 14, the bumpy right-hander for the final time. He'll get on the accelerator, back up the hill. The Canadian is going to score his first career win in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Zachary Clayman DeMello, your winner here at Road America, as he takes that Carlin car. And we've got problems down in Canada Corner as Davey Hamilton, Santi Urrutia's left rear tire is shredded there in turn 12.
Absolutely shredded. He's going to continue to try to go. I don't know if he had contact. Boy, he's tearing up that race car, though, but he's trying to get across the finish line just to get some points. But, boy, he's tearing that race car to shreds just to get there.
And Tony, we were watching that battle with Urrutia trying to hold off guys like Blackstock and Norman, and that is not good as we're going to get a chance to see the replay down here in turn 5.
Nick, we're seeing a replay now, and as he's coming through the kink, the left rear explodes, and I'm having flashbacks to Watkins Glen when Santi had a very similar issue with a different team last year, going up the hill there at another similar kink type of track. You know, he was burning him off. Tire management was everything. Rob touched on it earlier, and by the time he got to Canada Corner, his game over. It cost him a 6th place finish. Moved Shelby Blackstock up to 6 as a result of that. So while one Bilardi car goes off, one capitalizes as a result.
Davey Urrutia is lucky because that is not a good spot you want to lose.
Wow, unbelievable. Where that tire blew and him being able to keep it straight, hats off to him because the tire just blew out going through the kink, and that is a super fast right-hander. When that left rear blows, usually there's nothing but spinning, but he did a fantastic job by saving that thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, Santi Urrutia got across the start-finish line and parked maybe 50 or 60 yards just past the start-finish line. He is out of that car. 2 incidents under review here towards the end of the race. Urrutia and Norman in turn 6, they were battling tooth and nail, and then Juan Pedro Herta and the 22 of Neil Albarico, they were slugging it out into turn number 1. So those reviews are going to be done after the race here. Zachary Claman-DeMello is your winner. Here's how everything shook out. Kyle Kaiser, the points leader, doing exactly what he needs to do week in, week out as he picks up the 2nd position. Colton Herta, a nice bounce back in 3rd. Mateus Lace comes home in 4th. Aaron Telitz is 5th. Shelby Blackstock finishes in the 6th position. Ryan Norman is 7th. Neil Alberico is 8th. Dalton Kellett is 9th. Juan Pedro Hita 10th. Urrutia soldiers home to 11th. DePero 12th. Rickards 13th. And Nico Jamin 14th. And Davey, you just got a close-up shot of what's left of that left rear tire.
That thing is exploded. There's nothing left of it. I mean, I don't know how it's even still on the wheel, but that thing, like I say, can't give him enough credit because that was the worst place on the track that thing could come apart. And he soldiered around. He's in 11th right now. Not what he wanted. Not going to be happy. He wasn't happy with 2nd yesterday, so he's definitely not going to be happy with this. But nothing of his doing. That tire, don't know if he cut it earlier or what happened, but it absolutely exploded coming through the kink.
One guy that is going to be very happy, though, Tony DeZino, no doubt about it, is Zachary Claman-DeMello. This is a big moment for him. 2nd year in this sport, kind of took his lumps in his rookie year in the Indy Lights Series. And as we said, this was kind of coming for Zachary Claman-DeMello, his first win.
The thing was, Nick, he had flashes. He was very close. He had a few oddball top 5 finishes last year. You didn't really know where he would come from. But this year, he's made those strides. And his drive at the Indy GP earlier this year, okay, this was a guy that I think has a chance, race-winning potential and ability. And he converted that today. The racecraft, I mean, he's still super young. He's only 17 or 18 years old out of karting. And now he's finally an Indy Lights race winner.
Well, big thanks to all of our guys out there on the course. Michael Young, Dave First, and Mark James. They were awful busy. Dave's going to move to pit lane for the IndyCar race. Mark will move here to the booth to anchor our coverage of the Verizon IndyCar Series. And Michael Young, we're just going to keep him out there in turn 1 for a couple hours and tell him not to move. So great job by those guys as well from our pit reporters, who I know will be catching up with some of our top finishers today. Again, great win for Zachary Claman-DeMello. And Davey, for Kyle Kaiser, man, he's only got 1 win this season, but continues to rack up those consistent finishes that ultimately are going to lead you to the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Yeah, Yuko's racing team, they're giving him a really good race car. He's doing a fantastic job. Doing a championship run is exactly what he's doing right now, and I think we have him downstairs.
We do. He's standing by with Ryan Marine.
That's right, Kyle Kaiser. Not a win today, but another strong 2nd-place finish. What does this do for your championship?
It extends our lead, and that's what I'm trying to do every single race weekend. So, great weekend overall. Obviously, I wanted the win, but Zach had the fastest car. He just totally ran away with it. So, congrats to him on his first win, but I'm really happy with the results.
You're one of the veteran drivers in the series, if we can call you that. You had a rookie nipping at your heels in Colton Herta. Did it take any of that veteran savvy to keep him behind?
Yeah, Colton was really quick. I saw he rolled out on sticker tires, so I knew he'd have really good pace. He raced me clean. We had good battle going to the end. I was lucky I got a gap because I think he had some push-to-passes left in the bank, so I'm really happy where we finished.
Your overall thoughts on the weekend?
Excellent. I mean, obviously it's not perfect. Double win would have been great, but I mean, overall points we gained, so I'm really happy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Kyle Kaiser, your points leader, comes home in 2nd. All right, Wisconsin's own Tony DeZino, let us know where we can read your stuff, where we can follow you at on Twitter, and what you're looking forward to the most this afternoon.
Yeah, NBCsports.com/motors is the site. I'm at Tony DeZino, and IndyCar on NBCSN on Twitter, so those 2 accounts. And for today's Kohler Grand Prix, the IndyCar race, Verizon IndyCar Series, it's a question of which Team Penske car is going to win, I feel like, because they've been top 4 in 3 consecutive sessions. They start top 4 on the grid. That being said, could somebody try a spanner on a 4-stop strategy? Is someone going to think that flat out trying to make up that deficit is going to be interesting? Otherwise, it's going to be pretty tight with the top 3. But an exciting Indy Lights race today. I'm very thankful to be in here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And again, for the warm-up this morning and for the slice race. And final thing, happy birthday, my friend. Good to see you.
Thanks. Yeah, so birthday stuff is it's interesting when you have birthday weekend.
When I see him walk out of the hotel with a crown, the little king crown still, I know.
A crown of what?
well, it was a hat.
We'll leave it at that. Let's hear from Colton Herta as he comes home in the 3rd position.
That's right, back on the podium for Colton Herta. I know it's been a tough couple of races for you leading into this. How do you feel being back on that podium spot?
It feels good after the bad luck we had. We didn't practice. We only got half of qualifying. So to have a pole and a podium, I'm I'm happy with it.
Congratulations. Let's go to Victory Lane and Rob Howden.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Standing here with a guy with a big smile on his face. Zachary Claman-DeMello, you put it all together today. You've worked hard over the last couple years, but give me your thoughts right now on winning here today.
It feels really great to finally get my first win in Indy Lights. It took a bit longer than I thought, but the speed's been there all along. Finally today, I just really put it together. Carlin did a great job, and everything went our way, and hopefully we can carry this momentum into the next round now.
Can you walk us through the first couple of laps? Real aggressive, going to the front. Let's talk about what your thoughts were, what your strategy was getting to the point.
Yeah, as soon as I got behind them, I could tell my pace was good. The car felt really good, even in dirty air, so I thought if I got out front, I could drive away. I saw Colton was pushing really hard in front, and I thought he was going to burn out his tires, and so I just waited a little bit, and then finally I found my chance, and I passed him. I made a small mistake, and he caught me again, and then after that I didn't put a foot wrong.
Pretty great couple of weeks. Got a chance to test at IndyCar as well here at Road America. You come back and you get the victory. Can you give me your thoughts and wrap up these last couple of weeks here in Wisconsin?
I really like it here. I had a strong year last year. Obviously, this year was even better. The IndyCar test was amazing. The weekend was amazing other than the first race, but it's a really nice feeling. I just don't know what to say right now.
Zach, congratulations.
Thank you.
Another first-time winner here, and, of course, 6 winners on the year here. Nick Yeoman, what a big one for Zachary Claman-DeMello. Back-to-back wins for Carlin as well, too, here at Road America.
6 winners in 9 races, to be exact. That is pretty darn competitive here in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. Davey Hamilton, your final thoughts as Indy Lights done for the weekend, and they'll head to Iowa Speedway here in a couple weeks, and upcoming the Verizon IndyCar Series Kohler Grand Prix.
Well, you know, one thing I've always said about this series is it's light on cars, but not light on competition right now. And with 14 cars starting and are just having our 6th winner is pretty amazing this year. And these kids from front to back, everybody on this chart could win these races. And that's how difficult and how competitive this is. So it makes it a lot of fun. And truly believe this is the road to IndyCar. I mean, this gives these kids push-to-pass opportunity, the way the cars shift. Actually, the cockpits are a lot the same. These seats fit right into an IndyCar, so I think that the series and Dan Anderson and the group and Delara have done a great job of developing this series to go to IndyCar, so hats off, and a lot of great competition, great talent coming to the next level.
Only thing left on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network is the main event of the weekend. It is the Kohler Grand Prix coming your way at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central Time. Mark James, Davey Hamilton in the booth. Michael Young will be in turn 1. I'll be in turn 5. Jake Query in turn 8. Dave First, Rob Howden, Ryan Marine down on pit lane. Thanks to many of those guys who joined us for this broadcast. Our thanks to Tony DeZino and Davey Hamilton for joining us in the booth. Again, congratulations to Zachary Claman-DeMello, a first-time winner in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires.